morning. This is Ann from ducttapeanddenim.com. We are going to make this woodblock photo holder today for Valentine's Day. So I have all my tools and supplies out here. You're going to start with a 2x4. This is just some scrap wood that we had from other projects. We've got a bunch of scrap wood. I'm sure that's something a lot of people have around, or it's easy to get if you know anybody who builds stuff. They've got little pieces of wood. The finished one, I'm going to measure it to make sure I'm telling you the right thing. It is 6.5 inches long, and that's important because of the stencil. This sample that I'm showing you is only 5 3/4, so the stencil doesn't fit on it exactly the same, but this is the block that I had, so I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to paint it first with this Americana Decor chalky finish paint. The color is Promise. It's pink. I don't do a lot of pink. I'm not a pink girl, but I figured for Valentine's Day I'm going to do it, so I'm just going to show you real quick. I mean, it's just, this is the easy part, so, but I'm going to show you that it does cover pretty good. I did 2 coats of that, and I didn't really, you know what I didn't do? See how thick that is? Because I've had this paint for a while, because I don't use pink very often, it does last a really, really long time, and it has gotten really thick. So I should have had some water over here to dip my brush in and then brush it on, because that will make it go on a lot smoother. But you can tell how thick that paint is, right? So I could even get by with 1 coat of paint on that, because I'm going to come back and distress it anyway. You got that, right? Now we're going to go on to the stencil part. This one I painted yesterday. It's also 6.5 inches. And here's the stencil. I think I've used this before. I have used it a lot, as you can tell, because I usually don't clean my stencils. Yeah, see, I've used it in red. I've used it in white. It's from Stencil Revolution. You can find those at ducttapeanddenim.com/Stencil Revolution. All right, and I'm going to stencil it in white. So here's what I'm using. Y'all have seen this before because I've used it a lot. It's the chalky finish paint. The color's everlasting, but it is just like a bright white, not tinted by any other shade. And I guess a lot of people would throw this away, but I'm going to stencil with it, so this is like just the right amount for me. Just get a little on my brush. I don't need much at all because this is a small stencil. I usually have something to offload it on, but I'm just going to offload it on the edge of the stencil there because I've got plenty of room. And then just pounce it on. I also have an Amazon shop where I put a lot of my favorite supplies. You can find it at ducttapeanddenim.com/Amazon. I think the stencil and all the paints and a similar brush, not this specific one because I've had this one for over 30 years. This is a vintage brush now. All right, so there's what that looks like. And it is pretty thick. I'm going to dry it, distress it too. So we used Everlasting to stencil it. So there's the stencil on, and it's just on the 2x4. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I almost said the funnest part, the most fun part of this project is the little photo holders. Now I've made round photo holders before, but because this is a Valentine's Day project, I wanted to make heart-shaped ones. Can you see that? Let me just show you one. So I'm going to show you how I make these little heart-shaped photo holders out of wire. This is the wire that we do sell in our online shop, so I'll leave a link to that down below as soon as I'm done. One hint I can give you is you're going to need more wire than you think. I don't know how many times I cut off a piece and then realized I didn't have enough. So I'm going to cut off probably a foot maybe using my old cutters. That might be a little too much, but then decide how tall you want it. Now on the first one, you can tell I made them all about the same height. I think I want the side ones to be lower. So if that's the height on that one, I'm going to make it about the right height and then trim it later. Go up however high you want it and make a little 90-degree angle there. Get some kind of a pin that's about the right size of half of the heart. Let's see if I can angle this, and you're going to go around the pin. So now that's what you have so far. This is the hardest part of this project, but once you get it down, it's going to be fun. Then you're going to take round nose pliers and put it right in the center. So as you can see, there's half the heart right there, and you're going to loop it around that bottom part of the pliers until you have it looking like that. So there's half of the heart, and that little loop is going to be in the center. Now, none of these hearts are going to be exactly the same. This is a handmade project, not a machine-made project, so it's not going to be exact. I kind of like things not to look perfect. All right, then the same pin on the other side of the heart, and you can kind of adjust it, take it off, look at it. It's not exactly even, but you know, I don't mind that. Now you're going to go, you made the heart go all the way around, you're back to the bottom, and you're just going to fold it over. Can you tell that there? Fold it over. Now for this, I did use my other pliers, so let me grab them real quick. And I like to squeeze this down. If your fingers are strong enough, you could probably do it with your fingers, but so that closed it up. And now you're going to go back over the same heart in the same loops that you just did. And you're just using that first layer as like a template. Okay, and follow along there. I'm having to focus. All right, so I just followed along back over the same heart. It's a little off. If it's a little off, you can kind of move it around. This is pretty flexible wire, so you can move it. Okay, now you're back to the bottom where you started, and you're just going to grab a hold of it and twist it around just as many times as you want. If you wanted to go all the way down to the bottom, you could. It's just completely up to you. So there's what you have so far. Now I'm just going to trim it. And I know I've mentioned this before, but since some of you are new here and you see that I have marked my vintage clippers with old, these I only use for steel wire because this steel wire is harder and it's going to damage the blades. Can you tell? These are kind of chipped a little bit. So these are my old ones. So I don't mind taking these out and using these for craft projects now other than jewelry because they're already chipped. They still work. And then because there's a tiny little piece sticking out, I'm just going to squeeze it down with my pliers. If it's bothering you and if it's still poking out and you think, well, I'm going to stick my finger on that, you grab a little file and file it down. All right, but that's it. So let's go back to our block and see if it's dry. This paint does dry really fast. You can tell I didn't even have to heat gun it or anything. But I do have my heat tool over here. Just in case, if I ever need to speed something up, I could just blow it. Be careful with acrylic paint though, because if you hold that too close to acrylic paint, it's going to bubble up. Now, because I'm going to just drill holes in my block of wood, I have to decide where I want them. I want one in the center, and I want them to kind of arch around so they're not just lined up perfectly even. So, 6 1/2, half of that would be 3 1/4. I'm going to take my pencil, make a little dot, 3 1/4. And then I'm going to come down, and I think I want them about 1 1/4 in on the sides. All right, but you know what I forgot? I have not distressed this yet. This is not the prettiest towel in the world, but it's gonna keep the sanding dust from getting all over my surface. And I don't wanna sand on this side where I sanded green yesterday because it will leave green on here. I'll show you. It actually didn't do too much, but you can kind of tell it has a little bit of a green tint to it. So I'm gonna use the side that I did pink on, and especially on the corner, just take off some. I did not sand the block before I painted it. If you want something smoother and more finished, you can do that. I go for rustic most of the time, so if you don't sand it before, sanding it after the paint will take off a lot more paint, because you didn't paint on a smooth surface, you painted on a rough surface. So this is the point where you just take off as much as you want. I'm also not going to finish this. I'm not going to put a varnish on it, because it's not a piece that's going to get touched a lot or even used a lot. It's just going to sit there with pictures on it. So that is all I did to distress it right there. But, all right, I get a lot of questions about my Dremel. This is the one that I use. I don't even know that they make it anymore. I looked on Amazon to see if I could find it at the last time somebody asked me, and I couldn't find it. But there are some similar ones. It's cordless. I love it. It's easy to use. It just sits up on like that on my desk all the time. So if I want to grab it, I can grab it and use it. I have not charged the thing in over a year, and it's still going, so hopefully it doesn't stop today. And you can make it go however fast you want it. All right, and I'm just going to drill. Right where I had those little holes. And I don't know what size drill bit that is, but it is the smallest one that came with my set. It's not quite small enough. As you can tell, like that's still pretty loose in there. See how loose that is? So we're gonna glue it. If I was gonna sell these, I would glue it with E6000 because that will hold it forever. But I'm just gonna use these at my house, and in order to make this go faster, I'm gonna use hot glue. Oh, one other thing let me do first. Let's see which one is shorter. I think I want a tall one in the middle and two shorter ones on the side. So I'm going to trim 2 of them to be shorter. And you know what? Maybe not even all. The ones on the sides are not even going to be the same height. Let's just really be off today. So, so here's the tallest one. And I'm just going to put a little hot glue on the end. And stick it down in there. Now, some of the glue is going to not go all the way down, so you can either scrape that off now, or you can scrape it off later, or you can leave it there. You can paint over it if you wanted. All right. I'm just going to hold it for a sec to make sure it's straight and they're all facing the same way. So that's finished. Let's put some pictures in it. Now, these pictures have an interesting story behind them. I have no idea who this young man is. My sister and her husband were helping somebody in his family clean out like an attic or something, and they just found all of these boxes and boxes of old pictures, and everybody in their family has gone through them, and they still ended up with 2 boxes full of pictures that they don't know who they are. So these poor people have lost their family. We've kind of adopted them here. I took a bunch of them over to the antique shop to sell. I'm going to use them in crafting, so if you know who these people are, let me know. But Especially this one. I thought this was a nice one for Valentine's Day. A little couple. They don't look very happy, but maybe that's his stern look for being in the Navy. All right, y'all, let me know what you think about the project. Let me know if you try it or if you have any other questions and comments. Thanks for your shares and your comments and your likes. We appreciate that. That's how you can support us even without buying anything. We will be sharing more videos with you, more upcycle videos and more Valentine's Day videos with you later. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you probably on Thursday. Bye.